Welcome back, audience. Hope you're doing good. As always, pow in your face. Cheers. I was thinking what to talk about today, um, and one of those things. What is one of those things where I started observing that there seems to be different types of alchemies, you know, and they're all it all has structure, but I am going through my own experience, and I'm not going through any traditions. I'm just going through my own experience and seeing what's what. Of course, that will refer to or come will turn out to be something like what's already been written. But who cares? I'd rather make a map from scratch from my experience, because these maps sometimes they make mistakes, or even if you look at that map you think, oh, that's a nice picture, but that's not your experience. It's like, oh, that's a nice model. Yeah, but have you lived that model? Is this something that already part of your perception, part of your life functioning? Or is this just an idea that still sits in one of those, like, oh, that's a nice idea, let's just discuss some more about that? No, I'm not doing that. I'm saying what I'm experiencing. And you should too, because I mean, you're in the same boat. We're not in a different boat. If you are alchemizing energies, you are experiencing exactly what I'm experiencing. Perhaps we may not be surfing in the same way, you know. One of us may be slipping, another one's picking up the slack, you know. But we're going through the same thing. We're going through the same time space experience. And I've noticed these phases. I've noticed that pressure. I've noticed that poison. Sometimes I call it like a black tar type of feeling, you know. You can name it anything you want, but the feeling is the feeling. It is that incoherent pattern of energy that we are dissolving. And then there's pain. It just comes along. And there's this confusion. There's just like, whoa, you know? And so it comes like this in cycles. It comes this throughout the day, you can see the variance. And throughout the month, you can see the variance. Throughout the year, you can see the variance. But these challenges come along. And every time you deal with it well, next time it comes along, it is no longer that difficult to deal with. Unless you mess up and crash, and then you have to kind of sometimes restart from all over again, which is depends how bad you mess up. Because it seems that you can go in reverse in alchemy. If you started like functioning back, like if you are running like really deep intensity and you started functioning in the mind, and the mind starts like, creating all sorts of vile things out of this, that's going backwards. Okay. So what I've started seeing is that I'm discovering that there are 7 types of alchemies. That's vertical dimension. These are just like these rays of energy at a different bandwidth of frequencies. Colors. There seem to be 7, but each one of them is specializing in manifesting particular thing. Okay? And then around that, there is a horizontal dimension, which it could be divided in 4, the 4 elements, but it can also be divided, each one of those 4 can be divided in 3 more, and then you get the zodiac sign, or the 12, which is the 12 phases of time. There are 12 phases of time as a time spirals like that, and then 7 layers of frequency, that vertical dimension. Okay, it's what's been manifested out of that energy, horizontal, and the energy itself, the coherence of the energy itself. And so this disk and this light that often seen in the celestial objects is what it seems to be happening within our consciousness every day. Just watch. Like I'm watching it. Everything may be going great, and your alchemy is spot on, and it's great. It's fantastic. And then there's one event comes along, and the energy shifts and changes, and now what? Now it's just like, what the fuck just happened here? Everything was fine. And so there's another type of challenge to deal with, because it's shifted now into another one. Okay, this is why it seems that we have to master 7 times 12. And what do we get 7 times 12? I think I've talked about this before. There was a phase when I was talking about it. 7 times 12 is 84, right? Where have I seen this number before? Anyway. But you can also make it into, 4 times 7, which is 28. So, it depends what kind of approach you use. It depends on how you categorize it to see that there are these types of particular permutations that you may need to be, alchemizing. And so it all is your life. You understand? I'm not saying something like, whoa, different, esoteric, or like, oh, isn't it interesting, how it all works. It's just another mental masturbation. I'm saying this is your life. This is happening to you right now, every moment of your life. There's something, for example, that you need to take action on, but you may not be taking action. Okay, time comes to take action, and you, which is opportunity, the portal, and you kind of don't go to this portal, right? Because if you would go through this portal or a gate, you would be like, all right, I'm going through it. This is something that I have to do. There's a resistance there, but it's an obstacle that's worth overcoming. And then you will start feeling that, like, now you are even thinking of taking that action, and your solar plexus is coming, like agitated or on fire. That's the beginning of alchemy. Keep holding that will on doing that thing that needs to be done, or slowly moving towards it, and alchemize that. That's how you alchemize your willpower to do the things that are right, because the things that are right to do will have some resistance, right? And so you're going to have to alchemize it. So the yellow ray, alchemizing the yellow ray. And if you do it right, if you alchemize it, there's this yellow type of passion starts streaming, and it's like, whoa, this is just like this energy that carries me through motion of doing the right action, right? This is what something that I've been working on lately, because it's just the way it is. You have to take care of all 7 layers. You can call them 7 games of life or whatever, but you got to take care of all of them. So, and that usually leads to a right type of action, right? And so on and so on. So I'm just giving one example of how that may be. And there might be 12 permutations to do with your solar that it may need some alchemy with. Does that make sense? Sometimes you feel your solar in 4 phases, right? Sometimes it's just like this poison thing that you like gotta burn through. Sometimes it's just like too confused, not focused. You have to concentrate. Okay? And it appears that we're dealing with one of those at any point in time. And sometimes I even feel like, okay, this is solar right now, and then shifts into like woof, and then this is now I'm in the heart now. It feels like, as a different type of. It's like, okay, what's happening here, and that may be whatever the heart is doing, right? Whatever the heart is doing. And if there's kind of obstruction, then you have to do the alchemy there. And honestly, it seems that like it's a perpetual type of game of calibrating that is part of our life. That what the soul is capable of doing. Then of course you use the mind and you use your body. And what I've noticed is that soul, it kind of takes these patterns that has been symbolized or whatever, right? And it dissolves back into the coherent energy. Now you have pure energy. Now that you have pure energy, you can construct and create something that could facilitate more of that energy. So in a way, you're almost like building these crystals, if you like to use that type of metaphor. You see? And that's how well you're doing in life on all the 7 layers, 7 levels. Okay? But if one has like one huge crystal in one layer, what is that crystal? Is the capacity for the energy and how much of the energy you are directing and running in that particular layer. Okay? And that's what the soul does. The patterns that old energy, old patterned in the old way, puts it back into the coherence. And the process of putting back into coherence is that, whatchamacallit? It's just like a beaming out light. It is not like the mind, because it doesn't have any prolonged pattern. It's just the energy streaming has a very temporary shape. But as soon as it's over, it's like a dance or music. But as soon as it's over, back to the prima materia. And so that's what the soul does. It has no memory. If the only memory is all the potential things that could possibly happen, quanta, if you will, that's what the soul memory is. And so when you let that energy flow, it just starts flowing and dancing and creating all sorts of patterns spontaneously by itself, which we call joy or passion or bliss. But it sparkles by itself. But you can direct that energy towards one thing or the other. You can direct that energy towards, for example, moving through space-time. That would be yellow. You can direct that energy of energizing your body. That would be red, like a vital energy, if that's what's needed. So you can direct that spontaneous energy, which is just all possible colors that are there, and whenever you direct it, it specializes to exactly what is needed at that particular moment. The red shift, which is your body, and the blue shift, which is your mind. But you know what? I realized that we talk sometimes about will, right? Will is not different from magic. It's just a different form of magic. Just think about it like if you just say, okay, now I need to get this, then you think about yourself getting it, which is imagination, and then using the energy to get there, right? It's just that you already know how to, and that's what you do. That's will. That is the will energy used to manifest something in the world of physics, right? Like I can manifest this thing. There, I just manifested. I've manifested this. So most of the manifestation could be done just like this. It's just opportunities are there. Just use your will to get them done, and most of the things are gonna be all right, just like that. And then of course you have other colors, the blue shift, which the will is gonna be limited, and sometimes you can't go any further just with the will. Then because you cannot see how you can get there, that's when you use imagination. You say, well, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna get there. Then you start imagining the outcome with all the, directing that beautiful energy towards the vision of that outcome, shining that light on that outcome. You see? And projecting that outcome onto the screen. There's something about that energy that you discover, that pure energy, that is magic. You direct it through one channel, it's red. You direct it through another channel is green. You direct it through another channel, is indigo or violet. And so, just as, for example, as I talked about redshift, and I gave example willpower, how sometimes you need to be alchemizing your own willpower and action, which is, this is why this alchemical process of the soul never stops. It is part of your life, just like breathing. It's always on, ideally. If it's not on, then you're back. But life gets easier and easier if you keep it on, and that faculty of consciousness is always on. And then only then you use your mind to direct that energy, because mind appears to be having almost like its own entity. But what kind of energy you're going to give it, that's the quality it's going to create. So you give it the beautiful energy, and it's going to create something awesome. But if there's something, for example, blocked, and you try to imagine something, but you cannot imagine, sometimes people is like, oh, I have aphantasia or whatever, I cannot imagine things. I find it that hard to believe. I think these are just very blocked individuals. But that can be unblocked. If the person can dream and remember to have been dreaming, then you don't have aphantasia. I think aphantasia is made up, and just to put the label on people who not yet are capable of having images in their mind. Okay? You may say, well, it's very difficult. It would be very difficult for them to develop, perhaps, but the capacities are there. If they have consciousness, the capacity is there. And the consciousness doesn't block anybody from using it. You see, unless you fuck something up with your body or with your mind, with the drugs or whatever, then it's not really fault of system of consciousness. You are doing something to prevent it. So, the same way as you try to imagine something, the same block may arise. Just like as you try to use your will to get something that is needed to be done, the same way the block may arise when you try to imagine something. You say, okay, wait a second, why I'm imagining this? And why is this heaviness feeling arises when I try to imagine this? It's because there's something there to alchemize. And so it becomes this type of between you and a matrix. Matrix always tries to cloudy things up, and you're always correcting it and doing it right. You go into another cycle, and things are going to be a little bit off again. You're going to have to correct it and do things right. And so that's the game. That's the game. And the game is a type of energy game. It is the game. Ultimately, it doesn't really, uh, matter in a big scale. But come on, like if you're living this life, it freaking matters. It matters a lot of how well you're doing in the game. And to say that it doesn't, and that may lead to nihilism, and that is just like a pussy ass way out of the game. I, you know, I understand the difficulty of life sometimes, but this is not the way. Despair is not the way out. Despair and then it's masking itself with the intellect is the most disgusting thing. It's just like these highly intellectual nihilists is such a, vile demon to me, you know, because they are intellectually justifying the deepest dysfunction, the demonic things that they've not dealt with within themselves. Anyway, besides the fact. Now, that's what appears to be going on. Right? Again, I said it directly relates to my life. Everybody's going through the same. And it relates to their life. This isn't something to, again, mentally masturbate and listen is like, oh, this is just really cool stuff. No, this is like you use this. Like there's something that you have to do in your life. There's something that you have to imagine in your life. There's a lot to do there. And so to do that, you're going to have to alchemize it, which is break this old pattern, retrieve that coherent energy, and then project that coherent energy on the things that you like to envision. And life is just, everything is magic. Like this idea that physical world is somehow, different from the astral. It's just that the only thing that is different is that it takes energy to traverse the physical. But look, like even if you're in astral, you can still pretend that it's physical and traverse it. Like for example, you don't have to move through space-time when you're in astral. You can teleport from one place to another immediately because that's your imagination. You just like close your eyes, blink, boom, and you're there. Close your eye, blink, boom, and you're there because imagination does that. It doesn't require you to traverse through space-time or use any kind of energy like that. It has that freedom there. It's a type of magic. It's a blue magic. But here, in a physical world, is a type of red magic. And that's what it works here. You see? It is limited to how far you can see. It is whatever the time, space reality has been rendered within that frame. If you have that type of energy, you have a lot of magic, which means you have a lot of resources, a lot of energy to do things, then you do it and you manifest things like that just because they're already available to you. Will is just a magic that is in a foreseeable future. It is already foreseeable. Like, if you say like, I have to go to the store to pick that stuff, like, okay, well, that's just, you need bananas. You go to the store, you pick them up, and now you have bananas. You manifested bananas. You used magic, but this is a red magic. Because we use it all the time, we don't see it as, as magic. But it is magic. Everything is magic. But you would be able to see that if you are, for example, astrally projecting or having lucid dreams, and you'll start seeing that like, oh, it's the exact same mechanism. It's just a different type of energy that I'm using. So this is just like physical reality is red shift and astral reality is blue shift. And each has its purpose. The chicken, the monkey, and the circus. If there's something that has not yet been created in this reality, you cannot just use willpower to get it because you can get it from here. That's when you use imagination. Because that will generate the opportunity. Because right now there might not be opportunity. So we're trying to do this, but it's like, hey, this thing doesn't exist yet. This hasn't been imagined yet. So you imagine it, and now opportunity arises. Okay? And you know what? I have to tell you, like, at least in my life, I wasn't able to get away with mastering one of those so good that like I don't have to do anything, to do the others. It doesn't happen to me in my life. It just like my life requires of me to be well developed in all 7 games. Because it seems like one complements the other. I don't see the same thing with other people. Other people seem to can kind of get away with it. But I think like if I manage the things that I'm lacking, then these other ones start unlocking as well. Okay? So, now, a lot of time people use the word gate, portal, and things like that. What I'm trying to say here is that all of the different traditions and metaphors and lexicons that people are using, they're just naming this thing that is happening all the time. Opportunity is a portal, right? There's an opportunity for you to take action on something. You take action and you went through the portal. The same thing with imagination. There's an opportunity for you to visit some certain type of reality that is needed for you, in your next phase in life or whatever. There's an opportunity there, and you're going to have to go through that portal. Now, going through the portal may not be easy because it will require of you alchemy, magic, and might. So it's when you're nearing the portal, or the gate as sometimes people call it, Stargate or whatever, like whatever name you use, this is actually what's going on. Like you approach it, and you may feel the energy within you. It's just like, oh fuck, holy shit, I don't know if I'm gonna do this. Okay. And you're alchemizing that energy that you doesn't seem like you can even digest it. Right? You're going through the portal. You're going in a different space-time reality. Okay, and you've alchemized that particular one. Poof, and then you took the right action on it. It's there. Now, these portals, by the way, there's one thing that I wasn't very happy about, but I had to just basically accept the way things are, the way the consciousness work, because it is like an amazing machine, and it's perfect and it's amazing. And if you know how it works through your direct experience, not having another, just entertaining thing to talk about, like knowing what's happening now, what's going to happen next, feeling it, going through these portals. Now this is the video that I'm bringing up these portals and bringing out these 7 these vertical dimensions of life, and then these 12 horizontal dimensions of life. And then I'm also talking about portals, because that's exactly what you need to be going through. And going through portal is just another metaphor, or a way of saying of you approaching this potential reality, seeing the block there, alchemizing the block, projecting the new energy into the new image. Okay? Okay, and to go through some portals, it's fucking difficult. It's hard. This is why the gate to go is the obstacle that is worth going through. Because if you don't go through the one that has least resistance, because the portal will have always the least resistance, the consequences of you not going there is going to put you into some sort of like cycle where it's just like impossible. If you chose to go that way, that's impossible to get where you want to be without brute forcing your life. Okay, there's an elegant way of doing it, and it is intense if you keep on playing it, but it is like a game and you're leveling up. And before you leveling up, that portal will have like almost like a boss. And you go through that boss and poof, now you're another layer. Okay? Now there's another thing to deal with. So, we're definitely in the video game. So what I was going to say about these portals are temporary, because these are portals of time. They don't open up, uh, frequently. They just open up as an opportunity and then closes off. And sometimes, when they open up, I don't always take it, even though I should. In the hindsight, I look back and see like, I probably should have taken this. Yeah, it seemed like there's too much to handle, but maybe it just seemed like that. Maybe I should have taken that portal. So, but the portal opens and it closes, and then it's not going to open until that particular one, until the next time cycle comes along. Okay, you as a person, you're also a type of, a portal, and the light that goes through the portal. And other people are too, are portals. Portal is the one, is the thing that you're going through, which is the feminine, and whatever is going through the portal, that light is masculine, right? And playing the masculine level of the game, or version of the game, it is about choosing, selecting the right portal and overcoming the obstacle, unlocking the gate, going through it. And in the feminine, it's basically turning the portal to the right candidate that it is capable of opening, and so on, right? You cannot turn that portal to, you got to turn that portal to the level of the player, or of the game, that is appropriate for that portal. If the portal cannot take too much light, then it's not gonna happen. If the portal is can take small amounts of light or whatever, then that's what you open to. A little bit more, a little bit more. You see, like people ask, like, what do the women want? I know what the women want. It's always been the same thing. They want the light, but in whatever form it comes, because they are that portal. It's a law of the universe. And what do the men want? They want that mirror that could reflect their light, or the portal that could handle their light, or whatever, right? But often women want that light, but they can't actually handle it, and so they want it, but like they're not playing their own level of the game. They're not opening up correctly or whatever, right? And so when they try to get the light, which is kind of an attention, but they're not genuinely open up, and then it becomes all sorts of morbid, OnlyFans and so like all that stuff, right? It's like you're getting the corrupt light in a corrupt way, because you have not opened up to the correct light in the correct way, right? So it's just like a second-hand light that is just like a very low-hanging fruit, and it's a degenerate, like, and a lot of, like, even for example, I saw the picture thumbnail. I didn't even open up. Madonna released a new, and there was, it was her looking completely fucking trashy, and then there's like a bunch of guys pissing, in the bathroom, and I'm like, okay, like, we're done here. Okay, we're done. No, we're done. Madonna no more. So so that's what it is. That's what everybody wants. It's always about this, the same thing, and but people who want to cheat in game end up having crap. People who are cowards and they settle for the second best end up getting crap version of life. And for the reason of them learning the second time to take the freaking portal, to take the opportunity, not be a coward. Like, again, I'm not speaking from like the judgmental position, because I I haven't done things perfectly either. Like some portals I took, some portals I chickened out, and but at least my intent is still remains on going through the portal and doing things right. Because it's always going to be life is always going to give you the portal exactly at the right level that you are. You're always ready for it. There's no reason for you never to take it. And you take that portal through this thing that we kept on talking about it, with that capacity of your calibrating your conscious. That's how you keep taking these portals, and it just builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up. It is a game. So the women are more like portals, and men are more like patterns. Is that fair thing to say? Yeah. Um, yeah, I think it's a fair thing to say. Not that you as a man, you necessarily need a woman to go through the portal. No, you don't need. But if you're developing particular relationship, then the person represents that portal. If you are, just getting to know each other and whatnot, and you already feel it inside of you, it's like, okay, this is the energy. Do I want to go through this portal or not? You already feel it. Like, do you want to connect with this person or not? There's an opportunity for you to do this. And if you do it, you do it. And sometimes not all of them, it's you're supposed to connect, because or you're supposed to connect it the appropriate way. And sometimes you would be like, okay, I can be friends with this person, but I'm not going to go deeper because that person cannot handle anything deeper, because I can always feel that the energy is leaning towards cheating and not playing fairly at that level. But as an acquaintance, sure. Right? There is this type of general acceptance and compassion for everybody, which is appropriate. And the depth that you're going to connect with is going to be directly related to the level of coherence of you and that person. Okay? And sometimes you gotta like test the waters out. Go through like the first portal, not through all, not through all that exists, like, and then like connect too much too fast, and then later you have to do the damage control, and realizing like, oh, wait a second, it was too much too fast, and the person may not be ready for this thing, and then you'll start seeing that the person is like like begin cheating at this game of life. Takes more, gives less back, and it's just they start playing this game. Okay, well, if they're doing that, then we cannot play this game at this level. We have to go back to being friends, because especially if you obviously want to play the game right. You're gonna have to, because you're gonna start leaking energy. And if you're gonna start leaking energy, you're not gonna have sufficient energy to go through these portals of life, which is your really true soul desires live. So it's not worth it, because you're gonna get stuck. This is why some people like get stuck into these karmic relationships. You just get the fuck out immediately, and all the pain that needs to be alchemized, you alchemize. Done. Now you can live your life. You go through the portals that you really need, right? And you have to be kind of cool and okay to, if you tested the waters, it didn't turn out to be right, and if there isn't kind of trigger there, alchemize it, go back to normal. If until the point where it's just like you don't have to even alchemize anything, because you're just like, you're testing the waters out, you see what's up. All right, cool, we're gonna be friends, but I'm not playing this fucking open relationship bullshit though. Whatever the fuck, you know. So yeah, so this is how you can kind of navigate life and still be social and appropriately social with everybody. Like I said, like at this point, like I don't care whatever the people do, they can do, but I know exactly where they're at, and I choose to have appropriate relationship with them, because I've learned that the game here and the point of life is to generate that energy, generate the capacity of energy, all these 7 layers of life. That's the game. That's the point. That's what gives you the most fulfillment in your life and fulfills your soul. It's not easy, right? Sometimes you may need to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your person, but eventually you know how to interact with people, and you just connect at this particular level. The more like, hey, I'm a man, you're a woman, then it's like, oh, I'm this type of person and you're that type of person, okay, and I'm that type of soul and you're that type of soul. And then of course, if it clicks, it clicks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it doesn't click, you're going through the portal again. You're going to another reality where things are clicking. Whether it's going to be this person that is already changed and went through the portal with you, or is another person who is already living in this reality, together with you, and that is a match. So that's how it is. Like, and it seems like we're all like this. It's like, hey, I'm going through the portals. This is how I'm living a life right now. I'm not laying back into this fucking toxic crap, because I know how fucking seductive this can be, and it's just like, nah. I'm choosing my soul. I'm going through the portals. Okay, this is where I'm going. If people going with you, you're gonna see them. If they're not going with you, then you're not gonna see them, because they're gonna be so far, in energy from you, that they may still want to be playing like all sorts of like a toxic little fucking games and whatever, and you're just like, nah, this been there, done that. Why? This is why I look at people who obsessing with this tarot. Tarot is always teasing you, depends what kind of tarot, but most of the tarot where they have like a lot of views is just like teasing you. This is almost right, but there's a runner and chaser, but now it's not ready, and it's just like blah blah blah. Almost, but not quite. Almost, but not quite. So it's that type of game that they're playing. Eventually, you're gonna start realizing, oh fuck, I'm being fucked with, and that's why it exists, for you to realize that you're just being fucked with. You are being placed in this time loop where that is the case. You need to get the fuck out of there, where these tarot videos are not even in your in your face. Because like, yeah, you already seen this is all, it's a limited number of these time loops and these permutations of relationships that exist, and all these tarot readers do know that that's the case, and if you see it goes into cycles, and now they talk about the same thing they talked before when they went through the whole cycle, right? And it matches some people, and so the people say like, "Oh, how did you know?" It's like, hey, dude, chill. This is just a pattern. This is universal pattern, and because you're stuck in the matrix, you're stuck in this pattern. The point of it all is not to be stuck in this pattern, but get the fuck out. Is that what you want? Is that you do you want something that is not quite fitting you? Because if you're watching this and you're getting off on the fact, then you're fucking masochist. You see? That's why I say narcissists and empaths, these are the two sides of evil. You shouldn't be neither narcissist, neither empath. You're supposed to be a human being with appropriate selective openness and appropriate selective choosing. I'm gonna say choosing. Yeah. Yeah. You know? And it is about choices eventually, you know? It's choices with your attention. It's about choices, sure. And woman chooses what and who to open to. A man chooses um, what or whom to go through or to go inside. I was gonna say come inside, but that would be, you know, too much for the algorithm to handle. The algorithm is such a bitch right now. It's too sensitive. Oh, you can't say this, you can't say that. Like, what the fuck is the difference now from YouTube and how TV used to be, or how it still is? Lame, lame. But I'm still here. But I'm also on Odyssey. It's just that not a lot of people on Odyssey at this point. But at least it's not bullshit over there like here. But I'm like such a minority here. Everybody is grabbing attention with their fucking thumbnail. Not everybody, but most of the people. Just clickbaiting, attention grabbing, using these titles that are already like a cookie cutter, you know, saying things like, dude, it's an ad. No, I don't like it. Anyway, ad is from the word of adverse reaction. Okay, I'm gonna have to go soon. But to finish this, hopefully you liked my little video. I'm gonna keep on keeping on because this is my life, and you know it's happening, and I'm learning how to live life. I'm through my own experimentation and experience, but now at least I'm narrowing it down to what's really at the gist of it. Right? And sometimes you have to take the choice and say, all right, Trump is saying that life is just a bunch of deals. Well, life is a bunch of choices. Sure, you can say life is just a bunch of deals. Sure, it's true. And if you just learn how to make good deals and, you know, punish the people who do not honor the deals, reward the people who do honor the deals, you're going to have a really good life. I call them, you know, choices, I suppose, you know, it's like what you choose. But and again, I'm not claiming that like I'm you know, I'm not claiming yet that I've mastered this game. But I am claiming that at least I have like a slightest idea of what the fuck is going on. And that is massive. And this will build up, build up, build up. I'm going to waste less energy, use energy better and better and better. Not going to leave no stone unturned, because I'm going to go through all of those layers of life. Not going to be that one part of my life is neglected and another one is exacerbated. I want to have them all equilibrated, right? It's like, a classic, somebody who has a lot of money, but just completely, I don't want to go into this, okay? I'm just saying that there are people who are just completely, it is not attractive. You understand? It is not attractive not to be balanced. What is attractive is being balanced, is on all the levels. And so balance is something that I would like to have. Like, this is why I don't want to exaggerate one layer of my life over the other. This is what I see with people do this. Like, they just go like, oh, physical is the answer, material is the answer, and willpower is the answer. And they just go like, oh, and become maniacs. They become even red in the face, Or these people were just like, no, it's all astral, bro. It's just like, it's like psychedelics, just float around. This is the world of magic. And they're all these blue people, And then you have these people who masturbate on, gurus, or like these spiritual tradition. Is like, and then everybody's wasting life on one particular facet rather than living through all of them, in equilibrated ways, like, you see. And if you develop, you want to grow equally. You want to grow that and that. And I would prefer everything to be equal and not. And this is what I've noticed, is that that's what have been happening to me in my life. Like, I've been putting more attention to this. First phase of my life was just all material. Then it was just like all astral. Then spiritual. And now I'm realizing that neither of them. Life is happening, and you use all of them that is adequately. Because there's a crooked way of doing material world. There's a crooked way of doing astral world. There's a crooked way of doing, soul or spiritual world. But the funny thing is that only when you do the spiritual world right, where just rid of the knowledge where the space is supposed to be, only then it's possible to be doing something right in the astral and the physical. So anyway, okay? That's what I just want to say. 7. And it spirals like that. Just spirals. And it spirals every cycle of time. It spirals into deeper intensity, because it obviously goes closer to the center, right? So if you just take off the challenge, that's kind of light challenge, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And then, at the strongest level, you break through. Then you go into the next one. And so that's it for today, guys. All right. Peace. And I'll see you in the next one.